Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Crochet by Katie Humes. Today we are not going to be crocheting anything, but we are going to be sewing Dobby together. And we have one thing left to do after we get that done. And then you will pretty much be able to make this guy on your own. So the last thing we'll do in the next video is make his pillowcase. This is Dobby before he was free. He wore the raggedy old pillowcase when he was with the Malfoys. Okay, so we left off with our legs. That was the last thing we had done. And what I'm going to do first, what I'm going to show you first is we're going to sew the nose on first. Okay? I feel like the nose is easy to place without the ears, and then we'll put the ears on next. So let's move all these pieces out of our way and get started. All we're going to need today is our needle. It's just the regular yarn needle. Yarn needles have a much wider opening up here at the top than regular sewing needles, and they're a little thicker. And we'll also be using scissors today. Oh, I thought I lost those. They were stuck to my scissors. I'm going to use this one. It's a little bit, as I use them, these get kind of more blunt, and you can see that one is more pointy. And I was just going to use one of my old ones today, but I'm going to go ahead and use my newer one. Can you see the difference? Oh, they're all magnetic to each other. This one is pointier than that one. It's been used less. So I'm going to use this one. So grab the piece that you're working with. In this case, it's going to be the nose. And you'll want to get your yarn and put it in the needle. Pull it through. Yeah, that's probably good. And, oh, I'm forgetting one more thing that you can use that makes it a little easier. I'll be right back. Pins. You can use pins to secure your pieces on, and that helps. Also, I found this sewing needle, crochet needle. It's much bigger. I was going to show you a size comparison. I prefer these. They're a little bit smaller because this one is kind of hard to work with when you're doing amigurumis. With like a blanket or something, that would be fine, but I prefer these smaller yarn needles. And I don't have exact measurements, but you can just kind of see the difference. It's a lot wider and thicker. But just whatever your preference is fine. So, let's pin the nose onto him. I think right there, a little bit above those cheeks, and a little bit below the eyes will be good. Just put a little pin in there. Check it from all angles if that's where you'd like your piece to be before you get going. I'm going to place another one right there. Okay. Now just take your needle and you're going to go down in this stitch on the nose and push it through the head. Okay. And I'm just going to come right out of his forehead here. With this needle. Maybe. What is going on? Oh, right there will be fine. Okay, and pull that. And now you have your first stitch. I'm going to pull out that pin. Now, where you came out, you're in between stitches. So you're just going to take your needle and go back down through that stitch. Okay? And come out. I'm going to come out right where I want the nose to be, which is right here. Alright? And then I'm going to come through the next stitch in the nose, and I'm going to sew down very close, and then I'm going to come out the forehead again. Okay? So that's starting to sew it down. I'm going to take this pin out now. And then continue to go in and out, just like so. I like to sew in almost every stitch around if it's an arm, or in this case it's our nose. I'm going to put one more stitch right here. Okay, so once you've gone all the way around the nose, go around and check and make sure there's no loose spots. And there it is. Now, to finish off, I make a small knot in this yarn. Actually, I'm going to get a little closer to the nose. I'm just going to come down right by the nose right here. I just want the knot to be close to the nose. Okay. And make a knot down here on this part of the yarn. I do it 3 times. So I've got this little knot. And push, so you're going to go down into that same stitch that this yarn is coming out. And that should be secure enough. Okay? And that should hold your nose in place, that little tiny knot we just made. And you can clip this right here. Or I'm thinking I'll use this for the eyebrows. So I'm going to show you how to make the eyebrows next. So don't clip this yet. So I took my needle off for some reason. Don't know why I did that. Oh, I was thinking about clipping this. So I'm going to make the eyebrow out of this piece of yarn. This is the same yarn that we just sewed the nose with. So it's the tail from the nose that we crocheted. And we use the tail to sew the nose on. And this is the rest of what we have left. If yours isn't this long, don't worry. You can use the ears. Your ears have a tail too. So you should have enough. And if you don't have enough, you can always just cut a piece of yarn the same color to do this, okay? It doesn't have to be the tail. I am just using it because out of convenience. So you're going to go in, come out right above the eye where you want that eyebrow. I'll show you on the other Dobby that I already made. So I'm going to come out here and put the eyebrow on where I want it. I kind of like his eyebrows looking a little bit sad because when he was with the Malfoys, he was pretty sad. And I think I'm going to come over a little bit right here. Okay? Just right above the eye. And then you're going to go down in right next to the eye. And then you're going to come out over here on this other side. Okay, so I'm going in right here. I'm going to come out over here for my other eyebrow. And I think I want to come out this hole right here. Not that one higher. Oh, it's being stubborn. And remember, we have glue under there, so it can create a little bit of problems. But I think I'm catching some of this. So don't pull too tight. Sorry, I got to talking. So make sure you leave this not that loose, unless you like the way that looks. I guess you could. But just pull it very gently till you get your brow where you like it. I'm happy with that. Okay. And you know what? I don't like it right there. I worked so hard to get it into that spot. So I'm going to go back in. I'm actually going to come out in a different spot to make this easier. There's definitely glue right there. It's making it tricky. There we go. I'm just going to come out right here and decide where I want the eyebrow on this side. So I'm going to come out of this spot right here. And see, yarn is so forgiving. If you make a mistake, you can just go back and pull it out. So if I didn't like where this was, I could just pull it out, okay? If I didn't like where this was, let me show you. If I didn't like where this was, I could just pull it out. You know, I do like where it is though, so I'm gonna leave it. What happened? My yarn is being weird. I don't know. I don't like what happened with that. That's gonna make that look funky. Okay. You know what? I'm going to make the other eyebrow with a different piece of yarn. So I'm going to leave that first eyebrow that we made because I do like that. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make a knot here. Two will be fine for this. And if you want to add like any warts or anything, a little knot like that would be just fine. Like, let me show you. If you were wanting to add like a wart, I can't show you. It's not gonna work because my yarn is too short. I'll show you on the next one that I do. Okay, so that knot is going to secure that eyebrow there. I'm going to loosen it just a little bit. Oh, sorry, I wasn't in the frame. I'm loosening it just a little bit. Okay, that's his first eyebrow. I'm going to trim this, and then we will add his ears and the other eyebrow with that tail. With the ears, one of them, we are going to have to sew the tail through this ear to get it to this side, because the way I crocheted them, they're the exact same. They're not mirror images of each other. So I prefer them to be like that. But they look very similar, sewed on like this. So all we have to do is take the one that the tail is shooting off away from the head. All we have to do is weave it back and forth through these stitches. So weaving back and forth until we get to this spot. Now, we are again going to pin the ears where we want them. I like that spot. I'm going to start with the left side. It's his right side, but it's our left side. And exactly the same as we do the nose, I'm just going to put the needle in and bring it out in a different spot on the head. And then to go back, I'm going to go back and make sure that I catch the ear in a different spot. And I'm going to actually pull this out now because I don't need it. And I'm going to continue doing this to make it very sturdy. And make sure when you pin it on there, it's in line where you'd like it. I do like it. It is a little more forward than my other one, but I kind of like it. So far I like it. If I change my mind, I might take it out, but so far I'm liking it a little more forward than the other one. Okay. And just tug on it And this is not going to be a child's toy. This is actually, I haven't mentioned who this is going to, but it's going to be for my son's teacher. She really likes Harry Potter, and so as an end of the year gift, I wanted to give her this. So I don't think she's going to be tugging on it. If you think you need more, reinforcement right there, go ahead. You could do as many stitches as you want. For my purposes, I feel like that is definitely sturdy enough. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the other eyebrow with the rest of this yarn. I am just not having any luck where I want this eyebrow to be. That seems too far over. I'm going to try and put it... Let's try again. This part, just be patient with this part. You don't have to rush on anything. So I'm going to try and put it right here. Okay, yes, I am happy with that placement. See? I don't know if you can see. I think you can. It looks much better to me. I'm going to place it right down here by where he would have a little tear if he was crying. Alright, and then I'm just going to come out the top of the head very gently. I like that. Very sad looking. Alright, now I'm going to make a little knot. I don't have much yarn to work with, but I think it will be okay. I didn't add any hair on top of his head. I don't know, that might be cute if you added a little bit of... It doesn't really talk about him having any hair, so I left him looking like this. But if you wanted to take like a light brown that was a little darker than this cream color, this beige color, you could always have a little hairs poking out. I've made minions before from like Despicable Me, and the minions have little black hairs sticking out of their head, and it is so cute. So it could be cute, but alright, I'm gonna get this knot down into his head so we can't see it, but that it does its job. Ooh, that doesn't want to go in. There we go, it's in. Alright, and then I'm going to trim. See what I'm saying? You could totally, let me show you. What might be cute is if you had some little hairs sticking up. Like if they were really short, that could be cute. I'm not going to do it, but it could be. Okay. First ear is on. Nose and ear. Before I start with my second ear, I want to be absolutely sure that's where I want it. Because on my other one, it took me a couple of shots to get it exactly where I wanted it. And I kind of just want it to work on the first try this time. Okay, I think that's good. You can look down the sides, look at the back. I don't know, it's a little, I can't tell. Yeah, that'll be good. I'm gonna do it right there. Okay. Okay, so the one thing I am noticing is it's a little thicker on this side. I tried to sew that down in. I'm just going to put one stitch right here to make this side a little bit thicker like that side. Just with the same tail, because I'm done sewing. That ear is on very tightly, so I'm just going to make it match a little bit. This is what I was talking about with the yarn shaping. You can sort of manipulate it and work with it to make it look the same or look more similar. It's not exactly the same because it's not exactly a reverse piece. I guess that's a flaw in my design, but it wasn't so noticeable that I felt it needed to be changed, so I don't want to worry about it too much. Okay, that thickened that side up a little to make it match a little bit. All right, and I've noticed with this one that I made that the ears curl and they've changed a little bit over time. I'm not sure, since this one will maybe be sitting on a shelf, if it will stay less curled or if that's just what the yarn does over time. I don't know. So anyway, we're going to make a knot and tie this one off. I'm just going to do 2 this time because 3 was really hard to pull through. I think 2 will be fine. I totally forgot to make his mouth with that yarn tail, so I just cut a new piece of yarn. This is what I was saying. If you don't want to use your yarn tail for the eyebrows, you can just cut a new piece of yarn, and we're going to make the mouth. I'll show you how I did the mouth on this one. It's just twice into the same spots. And again, I made him a little bit solemn, a little bit sad looking. But if you wanted a happy Dobby, you could totally give him a smile. Oops, sorry. I bumped my table. Okay. So I'm going to put a knot on the end of this yarn since I did not do it with the tail of, oops, with the tail of the ear. There. Nice big knot. I'm going to go in from back here. And I'm going to come out where I want my mouth. Let me decide where I want my mouth. I think I want it right here. Okay. No, I want it one over. Okay. Can you see that? I'm gonna do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches long. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm gonna come out in that same spot over there. So, going in and out, the same area. Pull gently. Oh, this one kind of looks smiling. That's cute. All right, and I want him to have 2 lips. I'm going to go in and I'm going to come out the back of his head this time. Anywhere is fine. And then just where you might have, take your needle if you had messed up your cheeks a little bit by doing this, and pop your cheeks out nicely. And there you have his little mouth. That is so cute. And then just bend his nose back. Oh my, that turned out cute. I love putting these details on. It makes all the difference in the world just to take a little extra time to do the small details. It really makes all the difference. I'm gonna do 2. 3 knots seem to be having a really hard time getting through, so 2 is gonna be just fine. Okay. And I saw over here I'm just gonna shape it a little bit. Okay. Now we're just gonna trim those tails. And we will move on to sewing his arms. And I don't know if you noticed, but every time I trim it, there's always a little bit of yarn sticking out. I just pop it in with the back of my needle. Okay, and then I make sure that it's just in there good. That way it's not gonna, I mean, it's barely noticeable, but when it's all tucked in nicely, it's just good. Good, good. Time for the arms. If you get confused with your pieces, remember our arms are much thinner because they should be the same height. But you can see our arms are much thinner than the legs. So the legs are your thicker ones. Set those aside for later. The arms are your thicker ones. Just double check your pieces before you get started on the arms, because I would hate for you to sew in a leg to his arm spot and go, dang it, and then have to pull out all your work. That would not be fun. So these are the legs. I'm going to put them aside. And these are the arms, much thinner. We're going to pin them on right at the shoulder level. Let me just look at my other Dobby. Yeah. So turn them sideways here. Pin them on there. Okay. You know what? I'm going to only pin one at a time because his body is so thin. I don't want the yarn to be crisscrossing through, so I'm just going to pin them on one at a time. If you want to double check and see what they're going to look like, go ahead. I'm going to pin them both like that, but I'm going to pin only one at a time and only work one at a time to make sure I don't cause any issues with my yarn. That's really funky. I'm going to just chop that. Okay, so let's do this. Just like with the ears, we're just going to sew in and come out anywhere on the other side of the body. Pull that first stitch nice and tight. Okay. I'm going to pull I don't know if I should have pulled that out. Maybe I'll put it down here. Okay, you're going to go back in through the same hole. Come back up through the shoulder area, catching that. Then we're going to go back down through the shoulder again. And back out to the other side of the body. Alright, now I am going to pull this out because that's pretty secure. But I'm going to put a few more stitches for security. And I'm just going to continue working back and forth like this. Oops, lost my yarn. My needle popped right off my yarn. Okay. There you go. Now that is on nice and tight. I'm just going to go ahead and tie this off. You know what? I think I'm going to put one more stitch right there actually. That's why I always like to double check to make sure I'm happy with all my stitches. But I feel like it needs one more, like, sorry, right through here. And I'm going to put it under the armpit. There we go. Okay. There we go. Now I will tie it off. Time for the second arm. his legs. We're just gonna put them on straight. I know in my pictures I've been putting it like this, but I'm gonna put them on straight. And like the arms, I'm just going to do one at a time. Pinning one at a time. Now the legs are going to be more like the nose. The arms were kind of back and forth because they could be pinched to make the shoulders. But the nose, remember how we had to go in every stitch around? We're going to do that with the legs because they're thicker around as well. We're going to go around every stitch along. So I'm going to pin it on there. And I want to line it up with the shoulders so it doesn't look funky or anything. That's going to be good. Okay. So I had to come down a little lower than I would have liked, but that's okay. I'm just going to go back up in that stitch and come out right here. See? No harm done. Let's see here. And I'm going to go in. I'm going to follow this stitch right here and go in along. Okay. Oops, I keep catching that arm. You know what? I'm going to pin his arms up out of the way. They keep catching. Hi, guys. last leg, and this will be the end of the video. I'm going to go ahead and pin these up again, because that was really helpful, because they kept getting tangled as I was going around and around. Maybe I'll pin the ears up here too. Just get everything out of the way so I'm not struggling here. Bloop. There. Now everything's out of the way for our leg. Looks like it's going to fit perfectly right there. there you have it. Dobby Part 4. When we come back, we will work on making his little pillowcase coat thing. What he wears. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. I hope you are too.